CRTV News, nothing but the news.
The political class and the civil society in Cameroon salute the findings of the NGARBUH Commission of Inquiry, describing it as an act of bravery and maturity for Cameroon and the entire Cameroon security and defense forces. The coronavirus stretches its negative tentacles to the publishing and printing sectors as less and less books are being churned out and fewer newspapers are climbing on newspaper stands across the country. Muslims in Cameroon remain glued to the skies in search of the lunar crescent that announces the month-long period of prayer, fasting, and abstinence. Those are our lead stories. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the program. I am Ben Meno Pufong. The Cameroonian political and intellectual classes have been reacting to the publication of the findings of the NGARBUH Commission of Inquiry ordered by the President of the Republic. Amongst them are members of the Social Democratic Front, the SDF, and the political scientists who salute the transparency with which the inquiry was conducted and the personal involvement of the head of state in commandeering the Commission of Inquiry in the first place. Charles Ebune compiles those views in the following report.
And this is a panoramic view of NGARBUH, a village now associated with one of the most regrettable military operations in the country. And after a thorough Presidential Commission of Inquiry, time for justice.
We are relieved because we think that's what the people of NGARBUH, of Ndonga Mantum needed to hear.
We admire the attitude of this man who shows his love for peace and social justice. The civil society saluted, non-governmental organizations saluted. Their comments too welcomed the transparency of the Commission of Inquiry set by President Paul Biya to establish responsibilities of the sad incident.
What has come out of this committee report is a very bold step towards the recognition of human rights in Cameroon.
The will for truth has been an incessant quest by the Unity Palace chief tenant, and hope is the clear message for all. One clear line: the government views the life of all Cameroonians equal, with dignity, and that is the essence of the NGARBUH Commission of Inquiry findings publication.
And the people of the Northwest region have not been left out of the tray. They have equally been saluting the findings of the Commission of Inquiry ordered by the President of the Republic on the wake of that February massacre in the locality of NGARBUH in the Northwest region. While some describe it as the President's decision to bring the culprits to book as just and timely, others consider it an indication that no one is above the law when it comes to defending the interest of the Cameroonian people. From Bamenda, Ngoninge reports.
The general mood across the Northwest region and the city of Bamenda in particular is that of satisfaction with the outcome of the investigation that was ordered by President Paul Biya following the NGARBUH massacre of last February 13.
The verdict is very timely, and it has come out objectively to meet up with what is expected of a father of a nation.
People thought that in Cameroon, when they want to kill a situation, they put it under investigation or under Commission of Inquiry. But the head of state has proven the contrary.
While also saluting the head of state for proving that nobody is above the law, some men of God hold that the head of state should continue in that spirit.
I think it will build some confidence in the community.
While many people in the Northwest region regret the unfortunate loss of innocent lives in NGARBUH, their hope, however, is that the head of state's decision will bring solace to the affected families and community.
Despite the findings of the NGARBUH Commission of Inquiry that has somewhat bemirred the image of the Cameroonian Defense and Security Forces, this should not, however, take away the least red feather from the caps of these forces who have been doing the entire nation proud, both at the national and international fronts. Cameroonian forces have over the years remained exemplary, both in terms of discipline, ethics and professionalism, as well as in terms of morality. Every time and everywhere, they have been called up to defend the nation and do some duty to humanity. Constantine Baum now revisits the glorious moments of the Cameroonian army that has always remained a symbol of honor and fidelity.
The different Cameroonian contingents were often made up of military, police, military observers, and others. Many warrant officers and officers were sent on request of the UN and the AU as observers. In 1955, a contingent of 20 Cameroonian soldiers intervened in South Kivu, DRC, at the request of the High Commissioner of Refugees. A staff officer also participated in the United Nations mission in Congo, which ensures the implementation of peace agreement in the country. Furthermore, the Cameroonian government placed at the disposal of the United Nations mission in Central African Republic on the 8th of February 1999 a staff for the training of civilian police. In 2005, a request on behalf of the AU in South Sudan within the framework of the Darfur DEX Operations Monitoring Program for the benefit of the AU saw a contingent of 10 to 20 Cameroonian Defense Forces in the African Union mission in Sudan as observers. One can recall that Cameroonian police were of the humanitarian mission in Goma between 1994, 1998 to 2000 and later in the DRC, still under United Nations mission in 2006. Cameroon has also participated in peacekeeping missions in Cambodia and Haiti. The case of the Central African Republic is even more remarkable. In recent years, Cameroon's major deployments have focused on the Central African Republic, including one company, approximately 150 troops, to the Mikopax mission. In September 2014, MISCA was transitioned into a UN peacekeeping operation, MINUSCA, where Cameroon maintained 1,300 peacekeepers in the mission. Peace and stability in the Central African Republic is thanks to the sacrifices of men and women who continue to serve under the UN flag, saving countless lives.
And the publication of what has come to be known as the NGARBUH massacre is a welcome relief. We now know the facts and figures and can apportion the blames where they are due. Tonight, we welcome our Deputy Director of Information in charge of magazines, Joe Chibonke Kalabupse. Good evening, Joe.
Good evening, Ben.
Thanks for joining us. So much has been said about the defense and security forces in the report, but should that blind us from the huge contribution that they have been making to maintain peace and security within and without Cameroon? In short, should the Cameroonian army not remain to be known as the army of professionalism?
I think that NGARBUH report has cleared the dark clouds that have been hanging over Cameroon for some time now, since there was that whistleblowing incident. We can now apportion blame and met out sanctions according to the laws in force. That is a clear demonstration that Cameroon is ruled by law and that the law is not a respecter of persons, even when these persons are those that are supposed to enforce these laws. That's why the President of the Republic, as Commander-in-Chief of our defense forces, took the sanctions yesterday. In that report, you will agree with me, Ben, that the most professional armies have some of these dark spots. It happened with the U.S. Army in Iraq, it happened in Afghanistan, and so these things can happen. What is important is that when they happen, those deviant individuals are sanctioned, and that's exactly what the report on NGARBUH has done. But does that sap away the professionalism of our army? I would say no, because these are isolated incidents that can happen anywhere, anytime, with any army in the world. Cameroon's defense forces remain one of the best and most disciplined on the continent of Africa. Proof is that our combined military academy is solicited by most countries on the continent. They come and train their cadet officers here. They come and train their senior officers here. Proof that that academy churns out some of the best on the continent. Even at the dawn of independence, like we heard in Mbom's report, our army was solicited in the Democratic Republic of Congo at that time, in the Congo, the Darfur, Haiti, Mali, and today in the Central African Republic. These are proofs that we have one of the best professional armies solicited not only by the United Nations, but even our neighbors. And they give satisfactory report. Back at home, our defense forces have had warded off the piracy in the Gulf of Guinea without any unfortunate incident. They ended the Coupé de route in the phenomenon in the northern regions of our country without any incident, and heavily involved in civil military action, which is aimed at promoting the total adherence of the population to the just cause defended by the army, and to offer an alternative solution to the use of force, and also to take part in the reconstruction and rehabilitation of infrastructure and provide services in the country. The Rapid Intervention Battalion, for example, has even embraced the Red Cross modus operandi with the search for solidarity with affected populations to prevent and alleviate human suffering. That's why they respond often to win. Their response is not often to win a war, but to respond to distress cries from innocent civilians when the cries come. You would remember a couple of months back or weeks back, we did publish reports of how the Rapid Intervention Battalion constructed, rehabilitated, and offered benches to schools in the Far North region in localities that have been affected by Boko Haram. And most recently, they did that in the Southwest region. You can also remember that when the Chinese company that was supposed to carry out the construction of the Dibanga-Kuseri road was unable because of insecurity, the engineering corps of our defense forces took over the project and has been carrying that diligently. You remember, for those of you who are in Yaoundé, you remember the Nouvelle Route Bastos here in Yaoundé was constructed by the engineering corps of our defense forces. And education-wise, the Rapid Intervention Battalion rehabilitated, equipped, and offered a school in Edinau and provided security for children to go back to school. In the health domain, they conducted an important health campaign in Bongé area in the Southwest region and alleviated a lot of suffering amongst the local population. And they constructed the Miles 37 bridge in Menchum division in the Northwest region, which are all indications that we have a professional army, but you can have incidents like what we had in NGARBUH. The important thing is that they are fished out and sanctioned so as to bring them back onto the rails.
And that much for the glory of the Cameroonian army. Now let's talk about the role of non-governmental organizations. They have been contributing immensely to the well-being of Cameroonians, and in some points they even act as whistleblowers. But should they be kept out of politics like some people are clamoring?
They are supposed to be out of politics because they are not part of the political mainstream of countries where they operate, especially those that have international strings. And we know that these organizations are heavily funded. Some of them might have hidden agendas, or individuals within these organizations might have hidden agendas. But the most important thing is that when they are given accreditation to operate within a country, they are supposed to stay clear of local politics and stay and do just what they have been accredited to do, Ben.
Thank you very much, Joe Chebonke, Deputy Director of Information, for those inputs, and we hope to be getting more as the event is unfolding. But you don't go away. We'll continue with the newscast now to talk about the COVID-19. Can the type of food that people consume or the nature of physical activities they engage in reduce the eventuality of their being prone to the coronavirus? Be it as it may, some experts are purporting that eating balanced diet, multiplying physical exercises, and staying clear from hazardous health practices may well spare many people from contacting the virus. Gilbert Ongene talked to some nutritionists and sports experts on the validity and veracity of these assumptions and is here with their respective take on those issues.
At this crucial period of the coronavirus pandemic, medics contend that let what we eat be our medicine. A balanced diet they maintain is paramount in preparing the body to fight diseases like the COVID-19.
Colored fruits, because they are rich in vitamin A and they contain some vitamin C, which will help vitamin A to prevent penetration by the virus into the cells, and vitamin C helps build the white blood cells to fight the viruses. And then vegetables too, animal proteins, take lots of nuts and seeds.
All these foods are readily available in our immediate environment. Some traditional concoctions we take at home are said to be very essential.
It's advisable to take these concoctions. Ginger has anti-inflammatory properties, so it can help reduce sore throat. Garlic is rich in sulfur, and this is really a disease-fighting component. Honey has been implicated in the management of upper respiratory tract infections. Limes or lemons are rich in vitamin C, necessary to build up white blood cells.
Some habits that could be hazardous to our health are to be banished.
We have to reduce alcohol intake. We have to reduce tobacco too, because it actually acts on our lungs.
If all of this is associated with regular physical exercise and adequate sleep, not leaving out hygienic and social distancing measures, health experts affirm it could be life-saving. For as the saying goes, we are what we eat.
No side of the national economy is being spared by the ravaging effects of the COVID-19 monster, even as nations are fighting hard to limit its effects as much as possible. One of such sectors in Cameroon is that of publishing and editing, which is at the verge of collapse. Books and printing sector, they are now hard to come by. Publishers and editors are currently walking a tightrope as sales of books and newspapers, which were already limping in the country, are now virtually being crippled as a result of the coronavirus. Luma Slim Davies has been making an appraisal.
Several sectors of the economy have suffered largely from the coronavirus scare. Bookshops are also shouldering this weight of the crisis in financial losses as the importation and exportation of books face stiff problems.
We were mostly specialized in ordering books for our customers. Our customers could order books knowing that we could get them the books from Europe within a week or so. Nowadays, it's no longer possible, and this represented approximately 15 to 20% of our business.
The losses in financial terms spread out also to local book publishers and the publishing chain.
Good part of our customers were people from the diaspora who used to travel, who came here and look for books, local published books from the diaspora. They know, most of the people from the diaspora, knowing that if they come from Europe and come here, they will find books that's locally published. We have lost all that part of our customers.
Newspapers and magazine kiosks that deal in foreign publications have their own side of the story.
This magazine, this one, Jeune Afrique, the issue is for the 23, from 29, 19, 19. Since 3 months, I have not yet received another one. This one have to appear 4 times per month. All those are old. I have not yet received anything now.
However, operators in these sectors are optimistic that better business days are ahead.
The publishing and printing sector is not alone. Even at the aviation center, it is the same thing. It is a dead end at the Douala International Airport following the suspension of international flights. It is all quiet at the airport, which at normal times registers about 50 flights per day. Reports say the new normal here, as the airport succumbs to the COVID-19 preventive measures, is dead silence. Dixon Ashu is at the Douala International Airport.
Hard to believe this is one of the main gateways into the country via the economic capital Douala. A complete flip of atmosphere here at the Douala International Airport, from a hyper-busy arena to almost a dead one. Counters and specialized check services like the luggage registration centers Security and health check boats, whether on the departure or arrival line, all on hold. No traveler is on site, nor staff on duty, but management and a few security operatives present to ensure that the order to keep the airport shut is respected. Our last passenger flight was on April 10, 2020, an exceptional departure of Egypt Air, sending some Lebanese back home due to the current health crisis. Before the coronavirus pandemic that has brought the world to a halt, there used to be a traffic of over 50 regular flights to and fro per day here at the Douala International Airport. Today, only the cargo planes are authorized to take off or land at this airport. One can say with strong convictions that the world is indeed at rest due to the new COVID-19.
Military officers who sustained injuries as they defended the interest of the nation in the northwest and southwest regions and currently receiving medical attention at the military hospital in Douala received a visit from the commander of the 2nd Joint Military Region, bearer of message of encouragement from the Minister of Defense. Air Brigadier General Eba Bede Benoit handed over material support to the soldiers who put their lives on the line on duty. Sali Ebenye Nyoke is with the military in the hospital.
Taking care of these military personnel with injuries incurred while defending the territorial integrity in the northwest and southwest regions and also fighting against the spread of the coronavirus puts medical doctors at the military hospital in Douala on two fronts. They are proving their worth in taking care of the injured military officials with broken limbs and arms who are gradually regaining their health. It was therefore necessary for the commander of the 2nd Joint Military Region to visit the medical personnel and the injured officers with financial assistance, words of encouragement and congratulations for their bravery.
I am the representative of the minister to come and encourage those who've been injured, to let them know that as they decided to offer their life to protect the territory, and for the medics who are endeavoring every day to save the lives.
The commander also made stops at both entrances into the 2nd Joint Military Region headquarters to assess the implementation of anti-COVID-19 measures prescribed by government. Members of the public who make use of their services go through the obligatory temperature checks, washing of hands and wearing of face masks to protect themselves and others.
Most people in the South region have recoiled to the village, which to them seems to be some safe haven or shelter from the coronavirus pandemic. Avril is a small village on the outskirts of Belova, and it has experienced a heavy influx of people recently as school children sojourned there for imposed break. Even back there in the village, the COVID-19 scare comes haunting, and people are called to observe safety measures, as you tell us in this report. Bernice Atabo.
In Amvamyevo, a rural locality some 10 kilometers from Abelova, youths from different towns of the South region and beyond have been spending what most of them call quality time in the village. They farm, hunt, swim in the local river and enjoy their grandparents. They also find time to study.
I continue to study through the distance learning program on national radio and television.
I will love schools to reopen as fast as possible. Following preventive measures against COVID-19, however, can be difficult in rural localities.
Some villagers cannot afford money to buy face masks. We are calling on the government and mayors to help us provide the necessary equipment we need. We in the village are at risk. Some persons can leave the town and infect us here.
With President Paul Biya's 2 billion CFA franc support to municipalities as part of efforts to fight against the coronavirus, the people of Amvamyevo are certain that they will have all they need to bar the way to the COVID-19 pandemic.
We now hook up with Baldwin Sama at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center, who has been nosing for coronavirus updates in the country. Baldwin Sama, you say the Ministry of Public Health has just ended with getting some new words that more and more people are free of the diseases, as we hear in the following report with you out there at the Emergency Operations Center. Hello, Baldwin.
Well, good evening to you, Ben Menopofong. As you rightly said, the number of confirmed cases of Cameroonians who have recovered from COVID-19 keeps increasing on a daily basis. And as of tonight, we have 397 confirmed cases of Cameroonians who have recovered from COVID-19. And out of the 397 confirmed cases, 66 persons recovered from COVID-19 just this Wednesday. Information confirmed a while ago by officials of the Ministry of Public Health. And tonight, we talk about the impact of the joint press conference between the Ministries of Decentralization and Local Development and the Ministry of Public Health with our expert, Dr. Eric Tanzi, who is a public health expert in the Ministry of Public Health. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, Edwin.
At the end of this joint press conference between the two ministers, where they talk about decentralization as far as the management of COVID-19 patients is concerned, they've devolved over to the councils. What does it entail?
Yeah, thank you, Baldwin. Just like you've said, business now is getting more serious as more autonomy has been given for the management of COVID-19 cases to the local community. The Minister of Decentralization and Local Development did not only come alone, but he was accompanied by Director General of FECOM and the City Mayor of Yaoundé. It means more activities. It will be expected to be performed by this local council and the local city mayors.
Does it mean that it's limited just to sensitization campaigns at the level of the local councils, or it might evolve to allowing the treatment of some COVID-19 patients to some district hospitals?
Yeah, you see, Baldwin, here there is clear description of job. They cannot go up to the level of treatment. You know, local council will be involved more in sensitization campaign and disinfection of the public areas. You know, we're now living from where we concentrate on disinfection within our local areas, like our offices, our working environment, to now communities, because remember, although recommendations have been made that we should stay at home more, but people have also been urged that if you must get into public places, then you must put on a mask. But it's still not enough, because we still find people or persons behaving funnily without wearing their masks very well. So there is the need for the council area, in collaboration of other partners within the ministry. Remember, it's multi-sectorial. The Defense Ministry is coming in, Delegate General for National Security. So it's a whole package that is coming together to keep an order. But like I said, the council now will be more involved. Now the power has been given to the communities so that they should put the population to understand why we must implement the government measures.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for always being a resource person on the 7:30 newscast on CRTV.
Thank you very much, Bobby.
Well, Ben, the toll-free number, the hotline 1510 keeps ringing here in the call center of the Public Health Emergency Operations Center, because only today they have received over 1,126 calls confirming the anxiety on the part of most Cameroonians willing to know more about the spread of COVID-19 in Cameroon. And officials of the Ministry of Public Health are reminding Cameroonians not to rely on information published on social media as concerns the spread of the virus. Any information they need and reliable information is that made public by the Ministry of Public Health. This same ministry that will continue with a campaign to disinfect some markets in the nation's capital city, Yaoundé, this Thursday, with 4 markets selected: the Mvogbesi, Nkolbison, Biemasi, and Mendong markets that will be disinfected this Thursday. So, Ben Menopofong, the take-home message from here today is that 397 Cameroonians have recovered from COVID-19. Back to you, Ben Menopofong.
Thank you very much, Baldwin Sama, for all of those updates there from the Emergency Operations Center out there at the Ministry of Public Health. And we are looking forward for more Cameroonians getting healed from the COVID-19 disease. And we continue to talk about other developments in the news to say, despite the ravaging effects of the coronavirus on the economy, market trends in Cameroon, especially in the demand and supply of basic commodities, is still relatively stable. Assurance given in Yaoundé today by Trade Minister Luc Magloang Barga Tangana after proceeding with an assessment of the market forces after the instauration of measures to slow down the propagation of the COVID-19 disease in Cameroon. As Clarice Array Takang now reports, there is still enough on Cameroonian markets to continue feeding the populations while the pandemic persists.
Consumers buying and vendors selling. Nothing unusual going on at this market in Yaoundé, even though COVID-19 is the new reality they have been dealing with. The shelves and market stalls are not short of supplies.
There is rice, tomato, beans, and other foods. Talking about availability, there is enough. We have food.
The market situation in the country has been the focus of a number of discussions between the state and economic operators. The bargain is ensuring that there is no food crisis while officials grapple with containing the spread of the COVID-19 disease. From the most high to the least in demand, the goal is not so much to secure necessary quantities as it is to put a tag on quality.
We continue to supply the sub-region. It has a signification. It means that we have provisions enough, we have stock enough. We consume about 45,000 tons of rice each month, and now our stock are of 165,000 tons of rice.
The campaign to enable the population satisfy their nutrition needs during the global health emergency remains. Guaranteeing accessibility to basic commodities will stay possible only if all actors of the demand and supply chain effectively play their roles, authorities maintain.
And the culture sector has not been spared of the deadly blow of the coronavirus pandemic. To weigh the consequences, 140 culture ministers from countries across the globe held a virtual meeting today. The meeting, initiated by UNESCO, also focused on ways in which the cultural family could contribute in this fight, which must be won for light-hearted activities to resume. Cameroon's Minister of Culture shared the country's cultural approach to weakening the invisible killer. Joyce Tata has more.
For 3 minutes each, the 140 UNESCO member countries' culture ministers presented the impact and effects of COVID-19 in the sector, as well as strategies to help deal with the pandemic. Experts define culture as sharing together, but today put on hold. Museums closed, festivals suspended, thereby affecting the sector greatly. At 5:27 p.m., Cameroon's Arts and Culture Boss Bidon Part takes the floor, presenting the activities of artists in the nation to fight COVID-19, like the fabrication of face masks by designers, publications by writers, to liven spirits during this dull moment. But they are in need of some support, both at the national and international level.
For more efficiency in the culture sector, artists need to be supported financially at their 24 artistic posts. We need to encourage the creation of digital platforms for artists to carry out their presentations so it generates revenue. Internationally, a mechanism could be put in place to better protect the social rights of artists and professionals of culture.
While hoping some of these proposals are taken to book, the ministers reassured UNESCO's Director General Audrey Azoulay, who opened the session, that each of their countries will continue applying WHO's prescriptions to curb the spread of the virus so the nightmare finally comes to an end.
Let's talk some religion now to say the attention of Muslims and some Muslim clerics across Cameroon are now focused on the sky as they go searching for the appearance of the lunar crescent that announces the start of the month-long Ramadan fasting period. Preparations are going on underground in most homes as the Muslims prepare to devote their lives to one of the highest pillars of Islam, which calls for prayers, meditation, abstinence, and the multiplication of acts of charity and generosity. Alice May was at one of the homes in Yaoundé and now reports on how the Muslims are preparing for this year's month of reconciliation and renewal with Allah.
29 days of Shaba Muslim faithful have begun preparing themselves for the Ramadan period that will begin a few hours ahead.
The Muslims are going to observe the sky in order to see the lunar crescent. If the crescent is seen, that means first day is going to be the first day of Ramadan. If not, we are just going to complete the month of Sha'ban, and Friday will be automatically the first day of Ramadan.
This praying and fasting period that will run for a month will permit the faithful to intensify their faith in Allah.
The believer have to be someone better than was what he used to be. He has to abstain himself to all what is evils, and to produce everything that is good.
In respect of government measures to fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, they are advised to observe this period at home.
We have to take measures in order to fight against coronavirus by observing the measures prescribed by the authorities in the mosque, outside the mosque, and even at home.
Muslims also believe during this month the gates to heaven are open and the doors to hell are closed as they reflect on their lives while spending time with friends and families.
And now on to this release from the Ministry of Communication before we take leave of you. And it is a government's clarification on the attacks against the French ambassador to Cameroon, His Excellency Christophe Guilou. And the government clarification reads as follows. The government of the Republic has taken cognizance of the text circulating on social media, outrageously pointing an accusing finger at the ambassador of France to Cameroon, His Excellency Christophe Guilou, following the audience granted to him by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, on April 16, 2020 at the Unity Palace. This text is addressed to the French president, or to the president of France, of the French Republic, by some groupings of the Cameroonian diaspora, asking him to relieve the French ambassador of his duties under the false pretext of interference in Cameroon's internal affairs. Denying the reality of the presidential audience, these individuals claim in substance that the French ambassador has lent himself to an audiovisual montage aimed at demonstrating to national and international public opinion that Cameroon is rather well governed with republican institutions that function normally and under the remarkable leadership of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya. The government is outraged, to say the least, at the irresponsible and irrelevant behavior of incorrigible citizens who allow themselves to take sides with an ambassador of a friendly country in the full exercise of his duties, and who therefore deserves all the respects due to his status as a legal and legitimate representative. Needless to remind these fellow citizens that their thoughtless actions do not honor them, and with regard to the audience in question, the ambassador of France to Cameroon was indeed received in audience by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, on April 16, 2020 at the Unity Palace, so much so that the idea of a so-called staging can only be a mere fabrication and fantasy. Following the audience of the ambassador of France, the ambassador of France stressed on the excellent ties between France and Cameroon and reiterated France's commitment to support our country in the implementation of the National Strategy for Prevention and Response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The government of the Republic, therefore, categorically debunks the ungrounded allegations of rogue small groups and unreservedly denounces the numerous ungrounded threats directed against the ambassador of France on social media. Similarly, he warns these activists, small groups, against any acts likely to harm in any form whatsoever his plenipotentiary worthy of respect. This plenipotentiary worthy of respect, or to hinder the successful accomplishment of his esteemed mission in Cameroon. In any case, the government intends to take all necessary measures to preserve the security of members of the diplomatic corps accredited to Cameroon in strict compliance with the international conventions to which Cameroon is party. And that communique has been signed by Cameroon's Minister of Communication, René Emmanuel Sadi. And before we end this newscast, let me just give you this news just joining us now. We are just being told that right now by our reporters out there that the Ramadan month will begin this evening, will begin on Friday, and it has been confirmed. So we were announcing that they were still looking at the skies, waiting for the lunar crescent to appear. It will. From every indication, the lunar crescent has been spotted, and so the Muslims will begin their traditional Ramadan fasting on Friday without fail. That's why we'll leave it for this evening. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Until then, have a blessed evening.